On the shadow-draped evening of March 13th, 1997, a phenomenon unfolded across the vast skies of the American Southwest that would forever challenge the boundaries of perception, belief, and official narrative. What began as scattered whispers among residents of Nevada and Arizona swiftly transformed into a spectacle witnessed by thousands. A silent, sprawling procession of lights that defied conventional explanation and stitched itself into the fabric of modern mythology as the Phoenix Lights. From the first flickering glow seen near the Nevada border, across the sprawling Arizona deserts, penetrating the lit canopy of Phoenix, and extending southwards toward Tucson, observers captured moments saturated with awe and uncertainty. The lights appeared in two distinct episodes that night, an immense V-shaped or triangular formation moving silently and majestically across the heavens, its size likened by witnesses to several football fields, followed later by a sequence of stationary glowing orbs suspended over metropolitan Phoenix, hovering as if guarding unknown secrets beneath their radiant veil. These twin phenomena, inexplicable yet palpable, defied easy dismissal. Compelling accounts spilled forth from diverse witnesses, civilians, police officers, and even military personnel, each painting vivid portraits of overwhelming scale and otherworldly presence. The slow, austere glide of the formation, its uniform luminescence, the absence of sound save for faint hums reported by some, collectively formed a puzzle piece that no known aircraft, natural or man-made, could readily claim. The immediate aftermath sent ripples through public consciousness and emergency channels alike, igniting media sensation and government curiosity. The lights intruded upon mundane nights and ordinary lives, but left behind an indelible imprint. Questions about what truly crossed those skies, why visible evidence remained so elusive to conventional tracking, and whether human knowledge had yet grasped the full spectrum of possibilities above. Long deemed the hallmark modern mass UFO sighting, the Phoenix Lights encapsulate an enigma layered with hidden textures, where official explanations tussle with unyielding witness testimonies, where skepticism grapples with hope, and where the state's silence or denial fuels ever deeper quests for truth. In this sprawling chronicle of revelation and mystery, prepare to traverse the realms behind the glow, examining every facet, untangling every thread to uncover what they don't want you to know about the Phoenix Lights. On the unforgettable evening of March 13th, 1997, across an expanse stretching from the borders of Nevada through the deserts of Arizona to northern Mexico, an extraordinary celestial event silently sculpted a narrative that would transcend generations. Over thousands of witnesses, ranging from everyday citizens to seasoned military veterans, observed what would come to be known as the Phoenix Lights. Their stories, woven together, form a vast tapestry of mystery and wonder that has yet to unravel completely. The first of these phenomena emerged around 7:30 p.m., when residents began reporting an enormous V-shaped or triangular formation drifting slowly across the sky. This colossal entity, adorned with an array of uniform, glowing orbs, was described as silently bisecting the horizon with an imposing scale, some likening its expanse to multiple football fields tightly joined. The object appeared not only massive but also remarkably stable in its flight, moving with a dignity and calm defying earthly aircraft norms. Among the most compelling accounts is that of Mike Fortson, an ophthalmic technician who witnessed the giant craft from his home in Phoenix. Under a serene, star-studded sky, Fortson observed three intense white lights illuminating the night, descending near the ground with a puzzling quietness. Initially fearing a crash, he soon realized these were the legs of a gigantic solid structure, an immense boomerang-shaped ship slowly gliding southward. The proximity of a commercial 737 jetliner overhead seemingly unaware of the colossal presence beneath, underscored the surreal nature of this encounter. Fortson's account stands out for its vivid detail, sincerity, and the resolute rejection of simple explanations such as military flares. Simultaneously, numerous other witnesses shared analogous experience. Ross Nichol and his family, driving along Highway 89 roughly an hour before the military reportedly released flares, saw lights that weren't flares traveling in organized form. Commercial pilots and their families recounted sightings between 8 and 9 p.m. of a silent, immense formation passing overhead. Astronomers and sky watchers, including amateur telescope observers, confirmed the precision and uniformity of the lights, noting their distinct movements differed from conventional aircraft or natural phenomena. Later that night, around 10 p.m., another event unfolded. A line of stationary, glowing orbs hovered serenely over downtown Phoenix. These lights remained visible for several minutes before slowly dimming and vanishing. Unlike the mobile formation of the earlier phenomenon, these were calm, ethereal sentinels suspended in the sky, observed by thousands who described feelings ranging from awe to apprehension. The eyewitnesses' emotional landscapes were equally varied and profound. Many felt an overwhelming sense of calm. Others experienced intense curiosity, while some were gripped with an inexplicable fear. The collective human response to this unprecedented aerial display underscores the incident's deep psychological and cultural resonance. Law enforcement officers, including officers on patrol and military personnel stationed nearby, testified to unusual aerial activity consistent with civilian sightings. Their involvement lent an additional layer of credibility and gravitas, challenging those who dismiss the event as mere misidentification. Capturing these moments were numerous photographs and videos, some amateur yet compelling, providing tangible documentation that fueled debates and demands for explanations. These images depicted formations and patterns inconsistent with known aircraft or natural occurrences, reinforcing the extraordinary nature of the phenomenon. This night, charged with luminous mystery, transformed the Phoenix Lights from isolated anecdotes into a sprawling collective event, an awakening that questions the limits of human understanding and confronts official narratives. As the night's lights faded but their memory persisted, the testimonies collected would ignite decades of research, skepticism, belief, and cultural mythology. These eyewitness chronicles form the indispensable foundation of the Phoenix Lights saga, providing a raw human perspective on an event that continues to fascinate and baffle. The night of March 13, 1997, was marked not by a singular event, but by two distinct aerial phenomena that together crafted the enduring enigma of the Phoenix Lights. These two occurrences, differentiated by their shape, behavior, timing, and location, have added layers of complexity to the unfolding investigation over the decades. The first and most iconic sighting occurred around 7:30 to 8:30 p.m. Witnesses numbering in the thousands reported observing an immense, silent, V-shaped or triangular object moving slowly and gracefully across the darkened skies. The object was adorned with a series of evenly spaced lights, 5 or 7, depending on reports, set into a rigid formation resembling a carpenter's square or chevron. Among the vivid witness recollections is the family of Tim Lay, who first noticed the lights when they were approximately 65 miles away near Prescott Valley. Over several minutes, the lights appeared to approach, their spacing expanding as the object loomed closer, eventually revealing itself as a solid, enormous craft traveling roughly 100 to 150 feet above the ground. The craft's slow, deliberate glide and total silence starkly contrasted with any known aircraft, invoking awe and unease. Other observers, including commercial pilot Kurt Russell, not the actor, an amateur astronomer Mitch Stanley, and even law enforcement officers from multiple jurisdictions, shared remarkably consistent descriptions. The latter testified publicly to seeing a vast object spanning several football fields, making no noise, and moving with a measured steadiness inconsistent with conventional aviation. This massive formation reportedly continued its silent flight southwest, disappearing behind the Piestewa Peak mountain range, near Phoenix Sky Harbor International Airport. It spanned more than 300 miles, visible across multiple states, with witnesses describing the profound spectacle as unlike any known aerial activity. Later in the evening, between approximately 10 and 10:30 p.m., a second phenomenon captivated the greater Phoenix metropolitan area. Unlike the moving V-shaped craft, numerous reports described a series of stationary lights suspended in a straight line, hovering silently for several minutes. Witnesses, including civilians, police officers, and news crews, captured this event on video and in photos. These stationary lights, glowing orange-red, were seen fading away slowly and mysteriously, defying ordinary explanations involving routine atmospheric or man-made phenomena. The sheer volume and geographic spread of confirming observations made this second event equally significant, providing yet another riveting puzzle piece. Together, these two phenomena form the dual pillars of the Phoenix Lights mystery: a colossal silent craft traversing hundreds of miles and enigmatic hovering spheres that evoke questions about their origin, intent, and nature. The temporal sequence and physical attributes establish clear differentiation, challenging investigators to consider separate explanations or, intriguingly, a linked but complex aerial event manifesting in multiple forms. These sightings also provoked varied emotional and psychological responses. The first phenomenon's impressive scale and ghostly aura compelled some to experience a cosmic humility, while the second's hovering lights evoked feelings of curiosity, wonder, and at times anxiety about the unknown. This bifurcation in observations defies simple categorization, making the Phoenix Lights not a singular flash, but a multi-layered event requiring nuanced, multidimensional investigation and interpretation. Unpacking the night split phenomena is foundational to understanding the full scope of the event, each illuminating different facets of the mystery, ensuring it remains one of the most studied and debated aerial events in recent history. In the immediate wake of the Phoenix Lights phenomena, as public curiosity surged and the lens of media intensified, official voices sought explanations that could rationalize the extraordinary sightings while maintaining public calm. The government and military responses laid the groundwork for what would become one of the most contested narratives in UFO history: the assertion that the lights were not mysterious extraterrestrial craft, but rather conventional military flares and training exercises. According to official accounts, the lights were attributed primarily to two distinct military activities linked to Operation Snowbird, a pilot training program conducted by the Air National Guard out of Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Tucson, Arizona. The first series of lights witnessed, which took place around 7:30 to 8:30 p.m., was explained by the Air Force as a formation of A-10 Thunderbolt II jets flying in a tight, slow-moving V-shaped formation during nighttime training. The plane's steady running lights, unusual compared to commercial aviation navigation lights that blink or alternate, were said to be responsible for the initial massive boomerang luminance seen by thousands. Military officials emphasized that these flights obeyed visual flight rules and operated on restricted military corridors, unavailable to civilian aircraft. The second, more controversial explanation pertained to the later sightings of stationary lights hovering over the Phoenix metropolitan area. Around 10 p.m., the Air Force identified these as LU-2B/illumination flares released by a flight of A-10 aircraft conducting training exercises at the Barry M. Goldwater Air Force Range in southwest Arizona. These slow-falling, parachute-retarded flares burn bright orange and hover momentarily due to rising heat currents before gradually drifting downwards and extinguishing. Such flares were admitted to be visible across a broad radius, creating the striking visual of seemingly suspended glowing orbs. FAA records and Air National Guard briefings corroborate these accounts, asserting there were no unidentified or unauthorized flights during this period, and that all maneuvering adhered to military protocols designed for safety and secrecy. The Air Force maintained that both sets of lights, moving formations caused by aircraft and stationary lights from flares, accounted for the entire Phoenix Lights event. Governor Fife Symington Jr., elected at the time, initially adopted an official stance echoing military assertions, attributing the lights to conventional sources. However, in a 2007 retrospective public statement, he dramatically recanted that position, describing his own sighting as otherworldly, which fueled further speculation and cast doubt on earlier official versions. The government also staged a notorious press conference in June 1997, wherein then-Governor Symington attempted to alleviate public fears and curiosity by unveiling a staff member dressed in a flashy alien costume as a tongue-in-cheek gesture. This theatrical move was widely interpreted as an attempt to trivialize and deflect attention from the profound public and media interest in the event. Critics argue it further eroded trust in official explanations. Skeptics and the UFO research community, however, challenged the flare and aircraft theories on several grounds. The silent nature of the central formation, the extraordinary size described by witnesses, the consistent flight path and speed different from flares, and the timing discrepancies between the two events. They employed technical analyses and eyewitness testimonies to argue that military explanations failed to account for the smooth architectural shape and the complete lack of identifiable aircraft signatures. The military's insistence on the flare explanation also faced logistical questions. The distance and visibility of the flares over heavily populated urban areas wasn't convincingly matched by known physics of flare deployment, especially considering the angles, durations, and movement patterns observed. This dichotomy between official narratives and public skepticism formed the crucible of ongoing debate, a clash between a government's attempt to contain information within known parameters and a population compelled by experience to demand answers beyond the pragmatic. The official explanations, while grounded in tangible military operations, failed to fully quell the myriad questions or the profound experiences reported. They became an essential facet of the Phoenix Lights saga, not purely as a resolution, but as a spark igniting persistent controversy, distrust, and intrigue. Navigating this tension is vital for comprehending the Phoenix Lights phenomenon's enduring place in collective memory, and the evolving discourse on unidentified aerial phenomena. Underlying the official narrative of the 1997 Phoenix Lights incident is Operation Snowbird, a long-standing pilot training program orchestrated by the United States Air National Guard. This operation, designed for winter season live fire and tactical exercises, using Arizona's vast airspace and ranges, plays a crucial role in understanding the government's explanation for the aerial phenomena witnessed that March evening. Operation Snowbird involves deploying aircraft and pilots primarily from Davis-Monthan Air Force Base in Tucson, Arizona, to conduct simulated combat training and night flying drills. Integral to these exercises are A-10 Thunderbolt II aircraft, also known as Warthogs, highly maneuverable jets designed for close air support. On the night of March 13, 1997, multiple A-10s reportedly engaged in two distinct flight operations that align with the two types of lights observed. One flight of A-10s was conducting formation flights using navigation lights, flying in the characteristic V-shaped or triangular patterns witnessed by thousands. These formation lights had steady illumination, an uncommon feature in commercial aviation protocols, which often use blinking lights designed for collision avoidance. While the formation flight explains the first reported sequence, observations later in the evening pertain to a different tactical maneuver. Another group of A-10s conducted flare release exercises over the Barry M. Goldwater Air Force Range in western Pima County. The slow-falling, parachute-retarded LU-2 by FOUL illumination flares released during this training create bright, glowing orbs suspended in place for extended periods, drifting slowly as they burn. These flares can stay aloft for several minutes, appearing as stationary or slow-moving lights to ground observers. This precise flare operation, conducted well within restricted military airspace, can be visualized not only directly over the desert ranges, but also extending into the visibility zone of metropolitan Phoenix, producing the effect of hovering lights aligned in a row or string. The slow descent and widespread dissemination of these flares contributed to the widespread reports of silent, glowing spheres that seemed to challenge straightforward explanation. The night's exercises were typical of Operation Snowbird's rigorous training regimen, designed to prepare pilots for combat environments simulating urban warfare and night mission profiles. The importance of practicing such flare deployments lies in providing airborne illumination for ground troops during night operations, enhancing tactical advantages and situational awareness. Though official records and Air Force briefings affirm these exercises were routine, the unprecedented scale and timing, coupled with the density of civilian observers, created a perfect storm for public reaction. However, questions remain regarding the exact logistical choreography of these missions, specifically how the flare's deployment angles, altitude, wind conditions, and brightness could account for the widespread and tightly clustered observations in urban areas, including those near downtown Phoenix. In assessing Operation Snowbird's role, analysts also consider military communication protocols and the handling of information at the time. The military faced the dual challenge of maintaining operational security while addressing an increasingly inquisitive public and media environment. The decision to release minimal information would later fuel accusations of obfuscation or cover-up. The scrutiny placed on Operation Snowbird spotlights the tension between transparent military training activities and public interpretation of unusual aerial phenomena. While the Air National Guard's exercises provide a technically plausible explanation for parts of the Phoenix Lights, the totality of witness experiences and phenomena complexities remain difficult to wholly reconcile within this framework. This intersection of tactical military operations and public observation underscores a broader theme of the Phoenix Lights saga, the clash between known institutional activities and the elusive, captivating unknown that continues to inspire, mystify, and divide opinion decades later. The Phoenix Lights incident has been analyzed extensively by scientists, skeptics, and UFO investigators, each bringing rigorous scrutiny aimed at separating fact from fiction, objective observations from subjective interpretations. Scientific analyses often begin by differentiating the two main reported phenomena of the evening: the enormous silent V-shaped formation of lights reported at dusk, and the later series of stationary or slow-falling orange lights hovering over Phoenix. While official explanations attribute the latter to military flares dropped during training exercises, critical examination reveals that these explanations fully account for only part of the overall sightings. Astronomers familiar with the night sky, including Dr. James McGaha, a retired Air Force pilot and respected astronomer, investigated the Phoenix Lights perimeter systematically. McGaha's analysis concludes the stationary lights seen late at night were indeed illumination flares released during exercises on the Barry M. Goldwater Range. Using trajectory studies, timing correlations, and environmental conditions, McGaha demonstrated that these flares' behavior was consistent with parachute-retarded descent and apparent stationary hovering, caused by rising heat currents. However, the initial sighting of the large V-shaped or boomerang-shaped craft equipped with 5 to 7 lights posed a considerably greater challenge to conventional explanation. The scientific community, while respectful of eyewitness testimony, found difficulty reconciling this event with the flare hypothesis or conventional aerospace technology. Physics dictates that aircraft of such colossal dimensions, described by many witnesses as spanning multiple football fields, would produce significant sound, turbulence, and observable heat signatures. Multiple accounts confirmed an eerie silence emanating from the formation, and no known engines or exhaust plumes were visible. The flight characteristics were described as gliding slowly and steadily at very low altitude, without the aerodynamic noise or vibrations typical of large aircraft. Skeptics mainly point out that human perception can distort size and distance judgments, especially during night observations of unfamiliar light patterns. Atmospheric phenomena, such as lenticular clouds or temperature inversion layers, could further influence visual impressions, as can the psychological effect of high stress or novel situations. Nevertheless, trained professionals, including military personnel and pilots known for their observational expertise, vetoed the errors of perception argument in interviews, insisting they knew what commercial and military aircraft sound and look like under operational conditions. Advanced radar data available to the FAA and military that night was downplayed in official releases, leaving open questions regarding the detection or presumed invisibility of the large craft. Ground-based radar systems, while capable of spotting conventional aircraft, reportedly failed to register unusual traffic consistent with the massive formation. Video and photographic evidence, while corrupted by low quality and limited frame rates typical of 1990s civilian equipment, continue to provoke debate. Skeptical analyses highlight the limited resolution and possibility of lens artifacts misleading observers. Contrarily, UFO researchers argue that even degraded footage confirms steady, structured formations incompatible with flares or drones. Beyond physical parameters, scientific discourse also explores the socio-cultural impact of such mass sightings, how expectations, prior beliefs, and collective consciousness shape witness interpretations. Research into mass psychology reveals how group sightings can reinforce experiences, sometimes amplifying or mythologizing them beyond empirical bounds. Physical explanations from meteorology and aerospace engineering provide plausible frameworks for some observed effects, while systematic investigations continue probing anomalies unexplained by current knowledge. The polarizing debate underscores a core theme of the Phoenix Lights. Some aspects can be scientifically decoded, while others remain tantalizing puzzles fueling curiosity, theory, and suspicion across decades. In essence, the Phoenix Lights stand at the crossroads of scientific rigor and human mystery, where definitive conclusions coexist uneasily with enduring questions, compelling observers to maintain open consideration and ongoing inquiry. The Phoenix Lights incident has undergone extensive analysis from various angles, including scientific, skeptical, and investigative perspectives, each striving to decipher fact from conjecture and observation from interpretation. Scientists initially distinguished the event's two primary components: the massive, silent V-shaped light formation observed at dusk, and the later, slow-falling orange lights hovering over Phoenix. The widely accepted explanation for the latter credits military flares dropped during Air National Guard exercises. Experts, including respected astronomer and retired Air Force pilot Dr. James McGaugh, examined the flight paths, timing, and environmental conditions, concluding the stationary lights fit precisely with parachute-retarded illumination flares descending on the Barry M. Goldwater Air Force Range. The light's apparent hovering resulted from rising heat currents imparting buoyancy, making them seem suspended against the night sky for extended periods. despite this plausible constitution for the later phenomenon. The earlier sighting, a colossal V-shaped or boomerang craft with uniformly spaced lights, remains scientifically elusive. Eyewitnesses repeatedly describe a structure several football fields wide, flying silently at low altitude with no detectable engine noise or exhaust. Physics and aerospace engineering challenge the feasibility of such a vehicle's flight characteristics using known technology. The size, quietness, and consistent speed defy typical aircraft signatures. Trained observers, from military officials to professional pilots, affirm the unusual nature of what they witnessed, affirming that it diverges from conventional aerial phenomena. Skeptics juxtapose these claims with cognitive psychology, attributing perceptual exaggerations, optical illusions, or atmospheric phenomena like lenticular clouds to misinterpretations, particularly during unusual or high arousal situations. However, the detailed, consistent testimonies of credible witnesses disagree with simplistic explanations, inviting further scientific investigation. Radar data, which typically validates airborne traffic, presented ambiguous results. Military and FAA radar reportedly failed to register anything correlating to the enormous craft's passage, provoking questions about either radar efficacy or the object's stealth characteristics. Photographic and video evidence, although limited by technology of the era, remains both a point of debate and curiosity. Skeptics emphasize poor image quality and potential artifacts, while advocates insist these visuals demonstrate definitive patterns incompatible with flares or standard aircraft, supporting claims of a solid, structured object. Beyond physical explanations, the incident invites examination through socio-cultural and psychological lenses, exploring how mass perception, shared beliefs, and collective memory shape the interpretation, amplifying extraordinary experiences into enduring legends. Meteorological and aerospace sciences shed light on portions of the phenomenon, while other elements linger as unsettled puzzles, illustrating the Phoenix Light's position at the intersection of empirical explanation and human mystery. Consequently, this incident remains a compelling case where some observations are scientifically grounded, yet equally essential elements resist reduction, fueling ongoing inquiry and debate. This balance between skepticism and open-mindedness compels continued scrutinous exploration, cementing the Phoenix Lights as a touchstone in studies of the unknown and unexplained phenomena. The Phoenix Lights incident did not merely flash briefly across the night skies of Arizona, it exploded into the public imagination, embedding itself deeply in the cultural fabric of the region and beyond. Almost immediately, media outlets seized upon the unusual mass sightings and widespread eyewitness accounts, weaving a narrative tapestry that evolved across decades, galvanizing UFO enthusiasts, skeptics, governmental factions, and local communities alike. Television coverage in March 1997 and subsequent documentaries propelled the incident from a regional curiosity into international fascination. News broadcasts portrayed a bewildered population grappling with unexplained phenomena, juxtaposing official military explanations with first-hand testimonies that suggested something far more extraordinary was at play. Documentaries proved especially influential in shaping the mythos surrounding the Phoenix Lights. From Dr. Lynn Kaite's pioneering documentary, The Phoenix Lights, We Are Not Alone, which combined medical expertise with on-the-ground interviews and high-quality reenactments, to Seth Breedlove's ongoing documentary series, exploring the socio-cultural implications, the incident took on layers of meaning, extending well beyond the event itself. These productions introduced audiences to a chorus of voices: the scientific, the curious, the skeptical, and the fervently believing. Eyewitness accounts, emotional narratives of awe and suspicion, and archival footage were interwoven to create compelling visual stories that invited viewers to engage not only with the mystery, but with the broader questions of government secrecy, extraterrestrial visitation, and human perception. Hollywood and popular culture amplified the reach of the incident, inspiring films like Phoenix Forgotten and The Phoenix Incident, which blurred the lines between documentary and dramatized retelling. These films explored theories ranging from military cover-ups to alien encounters, further embedding the Phoenix Lights in the public psyche as an event of mythic proportions. The incident inspired an entire subculture, fueling conferences, books, podcasts, and online discussions that continue to revisit and reinterpret the data, testimonies, and artifacts. UFO festivals and skywatch events arose in Arizona, particularly in the greater Phoenix area, celebrating the event's anniversary and drawing diverse crowds, ranging from researchers and paranormal enthusiasts to curious tourists and local supporters. This phenomenon also tapped into broader mistrust towards official government narratives post-Cold War and post-Watergate, coinciding with heightened public interest in transparency, whistleblowers, and the balance of secrecy in democratic societies. The Phoenix Lights became a symbol, a locus where questions about unexplained phenomena converged with concerns over institutional honesty. Social media in the 21st century revitalized interest, enabling rapid dissemination of eyewitness accounts, videos, and speculative theories to global audiences. It created new platforms for grassroots inquiry, collective memory building, and competing narratives ranging from earnest scientific inquiry to elaborate conspiracy theories. Critically, the media's role in amplifying the Phoenix Lights phenomenon etched it into cultural consciousness not simply as a UFO sighting, but as a multifaceted narrative encompassing mystery, skepticism, belief, and wonder. It illustrated how mass media not only reports events, but actively constructs meaning, shaping how societies process the unexplained. This ever-expanding cultural presence ensures the Phoenix Lights continue to resonate, inspiring new generations to look skyward with questions and curiosity, maintaining a dialogue between the known and the unknown that challenges assumptions and fuels the eternal human quest for understanding. The Phoenix Lights incident, due to its scale, mass witness testimony, and unresolved anomalies, quickly transcended into the realm of extraterrestrial speculation. Viewed by many as perhaps the most compelling mass UFO sighting in modern history, the event has provoked intense debate. Was the spectacle a clandestine military exercise, or a visitation by crafts from beyond Earth? Proponents of the alien hypothesis argue that the dimensions, characteristics, and behaviors of the first phenomenon, the immense silent V-shaped formation, cannot be explained by conventional technology or military activities. Unlike aviation lights, they argue these lights were fixed in precise geometric patterns and moved with a coordinated grace indicative of intelligent control. One core pillar of extraterrestrial theorists is the collective consistency in eyewitness accounts. Hundreds, possibly thousands of individuals, including law enforcement and military personnel, described a vast, silent craft of monumental scale, appearing larger than any known human-made aircraft. The absence of engine noise, heat signatures, or typical aircraft navigation markers lends credibility to suppositions about advanced, possibly non-human propulsion technology operating beyond current scientific understanding. Among the most intriguing testimonies is that of Fife Symington, the then governor of Arizona, who publicly recanted his early dismissal of the event. After personally witnessing the lights, he described the experience as otherworldly and staged a press conference expressing his amazement. His transformation from skeptic to believer lent significant political gravity to alien interpretations. Supporting arguments cite the lack of radar or air traffic control confirmations for such a large object, suggesting extraordinary stealth capabilities more consistent with alien craft than known military airplanes. Physical impossibilities, such as the craft's quiet passage and eyewitness claims of sudden appearance and disappearance, are viewed as indicative of technologies far surpassing current aerospace engineering, such as anti-gravity or warp propulsion concepts, hypothesized in fringe scientific circles. Some researchers highlight photographic video and audio recordings that appear to show structured shapes and sounds inconsistent with flares or conventional aircraft. Enhanced footage reveals symmetrical formations and coordinated movements that suggest intelligent design and control beyond natural or human constraints. Additionally, the Phoenix Lights have been linked by some to a global pattern of UFO sightings and encounters reported before and after 1997, interpreted as part of ongoing extraterrestrial contact or surveillance. This hypothesis connects Phoenix to other geopolitical hotspots and incidents, arguing for a sustained presence or observational program by non-human entities. Critics of these ideas often dismiss the alien hypothesis as lacking definitive physical evidence, and relying heavily on anecdotal witness testimony, which can be subject to biases and errors. They argue that credible scientific investigation requires empirical validation beyond human perception. Nevertheless, the intersection of mass reported sightings, unexplained aerial phenomena, and withheld or vague official information perpetuates a fertile environment for alien interpretations to thrive. The Phoenix Lights symbolize one of the clearest, most enduring cases where speculation about extraterrestrial intelligence continues to captivate millions worldwide. Modern technological advancements, including improved imaging and data analysis, have not settled the debate, but rather have broadened public engagement. Anonymous whistleblower reports and leaked documents, alleging government knowledge of alien craft or technology, add tantalizing but uncorroborated threads to the discourse. The alien hypothesis fuels broader philosophical and cultural questions about humanity's place in the universe and the limits of human knowledge, turning the Phoenix Lights into more than a mere UFO sighting. They become a symbol of enduring cosmic mystery. Through this lens, the incident transcends its initial event to become a potent narrative of wonder, skepticism, and the persistent quest to discern whether we are indeed alone in the cosmos or sharing the skies with unknown visitors. While official explanations attribute the Phoenix Lights to military flare exercises, an alternative theory posits a more secretive and advanced reality lurking behind the veil. A covert military operation involving classified aircraft and experimental technology. This hypothesis explores whether the phenomenon was a demonstration or test flight of top-secret vehicles that operate far beyond the limits of publicly known aerospace engineering. The covert military theory arises from numerous anomalous factors associated with the Phoenix Lights that defy conventional aircraft limitations. The immense size of the V-shaped craft described as spanning multiple football fields, its silent operation, and the complete absence of identifiable engine signature or related aircraft noise. These factors suggest technology that either stealthily avoids detection or operates with fundamentally different propulsion systems. Historically, the U.S. military has employed secrecy and misinformation tightly in conjunction with experimental aircraft development. The famous examples of the U-2 spy plane and SR-71 Blackbird were initially unknown to the public, wrapped in secrecy and rumors for decades. Some researchers speculate that the Phoenix Lights were the public's glimpse of a hush-hush successor project, possibly a hypersonic stealth vehicle built on technologies far beyond the F-117 or B-2 bombers. The V-shaped silhouette parallels the experimental TR-3B Astra, a rumored aerospace craft alleged to be triangular, enormous, and capable of anti-gravity propulsion. According to radar evasion and propulsion theories circulated in the aviation fringe, such vehicles could maintain near-silent flight at low altitude, with insignias of lights designed for either navigation or psychological impact. Location further fuels this speculation. Arizona's Barry M. Goldwater Range and the surrounding airspace are known for secretive government and contractor flight tests, isolated by geography and restricted airspace. Conspiratorial theories suggest that this event was not a routine training exercise, but a covert demonstration, perhaps an intended opportunity to normalize public exposure to experimental aerial technology. Eyewitness reports, especially from trained personnel with aviation knowledge, describe flight behaviors inconsistent with existing commercial or military craft. Flight speed, altitude consistency, and formation precision suggest planned operational parameters beyond pilot training drills. The complex choreography of the lights indicates a purpose far surpassing military flair or casual testing. In addition, the delayed and often contradictory official communications contribute to mistrust. A government prone to secrecy not only denies or obscures details, but diverts attention with partial truths, such as initially citing flares, while ignoring earlier and separate sightings of the larger craft formation. This pattern strengthens claims of obfuscation and intentional cover-up. Documented logistical challenges to the flare explanation, such as the unlikelihood of flares moving in neat, fixed V-shaped formations, or their invisibility to radar despite eyewitness visibility, are used to argue alternative aircraft involvement. The absence of radar detection is often cited as evidence of advanced stealth technology, possibly incorporating electromagnetic suppression or plasma fields theorized in experimental circles. Whistleblower testimonies, though often contested or lacking official corroboration, frequently echo the presence of classified aerospace programs beyond public awareness. While these claims should be treated cautiously, their consistency and alignment with known government secrecy traditions invite serious consideration in the context of this event. The covert military hypothesis also contextualizes the Phoenix Lights within the evolution of 1990s aerospace research, an era marked by increasing use of stealth, unmanned aerial vehicles, and precision-guided systems. Phoenix's proximity to several military testing sites, including Lockheed Martin's Skunk Works and Edwards Air Force Base, offers a logical nexus for such experimentation. This perspective underscores a broader theme in managing UFO phenomena. Governments may leverage ambiguity about advanced domestic technology both for strategic advantage and to divert inquiry from genuine unknowns. Consequently, while hard evidence remains elusive, the covert military theory maintains robust traction by coherently explaining many observational anomalies that the flare hypothesis cannot. It provides a lens that respects the sophistication of military research and the realities of classified technology breakthroughs, implying that not all secrets are extraterrestrial. Some may be terrestrial, hidden deliberately behind an impenetrable cloak of covert operations. The Phoenix Lights phenomenon, undeterred by official explanations or speculative theories, pulses at the heart of human experience, invoking profound psychological and sociological questions that transcend the visible spectacle. This part delves into the mechanisms of mass perception, collective behavior, and the social construction of extraordinary events, understanding the dynamic interplay that shapes how the unknown is witnessed, interpreted, and remembered. From psychology's vantage, mass sightings involve intricate processes where individual perception is influenced by group dynamics, social expectations, and cognitive predispositions. The extraordinary nature of seeing unexplained lights or aircraft disrupts normative frameworks of understanding, triggering intense attention, heightened emotional states, and sometimes collective suggestibility. Studies show that social reinforcement plays a critical role during shared encounters. In the Phoenix Lights case, individuals often observe the event alongside family, friends, or others, validating and amplifying mutual experiences. Such shared witnessing cements the event in communal memory, reinforcing the belief in an extraordinary occurrence even in the presence of ambiguous stimuli. Expectancy effects also shape perception. The cultural milieu of the 1990s, infused with widespread UFO lore and growing public awareness of government secrecy, primed observers to interpret unusual aerial lights within an extraterrestrial or paranormal schema. This cultural context heightened sensitivity to anomalous stimuli and influenced how observers constructed meaning. Mass psychogenic phenomena, where psychological and social contagion spread beliefs and experiences, may partially explain the spread and intensity of reports. Individuals may amplify minor luminous phenomena or misinterpret mundane aerial activity when primed by collective anticipation or anxiety, spawning wave-like patterns of sighting reports. Skeptics argue that many reported aspects of the Phoenix Lights can be attributed to these psychological factors, including misperceptions of scale, speed, brightness, and origin. Visual illusions such as the autokinetic effect, where a stationary point of light appears to move along with atmospheric distortions, can scaffold vivid but objectively inaccurate experiences. Conversely, dismissing all mass sighting accounts as psychogenic risks, overlooking genuine unresolved anomalies, and the nuanced exchange between external stimuli and internal cognition. Some eyewitness accounts involve detailed observations verified by multiple independent sources, suggesting real phenomena interacting with human perception. Sociological analysis extends beyond individual cognition, examining how communities and institutions respond post-event. The Phoenix Lights inspired ongoing social rituals, gatherings, festivals, and commemorations that reinforce identity, shared history, and the quest for meaning within the enigmatic event. These cultural practices underscore how societies negotiate uncertainty and foster collective resilience. Moreover, the Phoenix Lights phenomenon intersects with broader themes of trust and authority. Public skepticism towards official explanations reflects societal debates about transparency, truth, and the right to information. This dynamic influences how collective experiences are documented, contested, or legitimized in public discourse. Mass media's role in shaping and amplifying public consciousness further complicates the process. Representations of the Phoenix Lights oscillate between sensationalism and sober reportage, influencing cultural narratives and individual expectations, perpetuating cycles of belief and doubt. Furthermore, the Phoenix Lights serve as a case study for the social construction of modern mythologies, how contemporary societies create folklore grounded in real events, yet evolving through shared interpretation, symbolically addressing existential questions about humanity's place in the cosmos. In synthesis, the psychological and sociological dimensions of the Phoenix Lights reveal a rich, multifaceted human response to mystery, where perception, culture, and social interaction converge, transforming a celestial spectacle into a powerful collective experience that challenges our grasp of reality. The Phoenix Lights incident not only unveiled a spectacular aerial mystery, but also exposed underlying tensions between government institutions and the public's demand for transparency. This part explores how the handling or mishandling of information surrounding the March 13, 1997 event reflects broader patterns of institutional secrecy, shaping public trust, skepticism, and the quest for accountability. At the heart of controversy lies the absence of a comprehensive, transparent investigation by federal or state agencies. Despite the scale of the phenomenon and the vast number of eyewitnesses, no formal, thorough inquiry was launched immediately following the event. Government representatives repeatedly denied involvement or knowledge and provided fragmented, sometimes contradictory explanations, attributing the lights to military training exercises involving flares. This lack of a centralized, open investigation fueled suspicion and speculation. Arizona Governor Fife Symington, initially aligning with official narratives, later publicly revealed his personal sighting and acknowledged the inadequacy of earlier explanations, a move that both validated public concerns and hinted at concealed truths. His theatrical 1997 press conference, featuring a staff member in an alien costume, attempted to diffuse scrutiny but arguably deepen distrust. Federal agencies, including the Air National Guard and Federal Aviation Administration, maintain limited disclosure, often providing minimal information restricted to technical jargon that lacked clarity for the general public. Congressional discussions on unidentified aerial phenomena only gained prominence decades later, illustrating systemic reluctance to address public interest openly. Freedom of Information Act FOIA requests for documents linked to the Phoenix Lights yielded sparse records, many heavily redacted or classified. This opacity reinforced perceptions of deliberate cover-up or information withholding. Nevertheless, gradual declassification of related military flight suits, radar data, and airspace restriction logs surfaced piecemeal, allowing researchers partial glimpses into the night's events, but never a complete accounting. The Phoenix Lights incident preludes subsequent government policies on unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, signaling early tension between secrecy and public right to know. The emergence of official Pentagon UFO task forces and congressional hearings reflects a slow institutional shift toward transparency. Yet challenges persist in balancing national security with openness. Public trust, once fractured by perceived obfuscation, remains skeptical, particularly among communities directly witnessing or affected by the event. Activists and researchers critique the lack of accountability, pointing to inconsistencies and unexplained phenomena that contradict official flare explanations. Media watchdog organizations and investigative journalists have challenged access limitations, exposing suppression of whistleblower accounts and unexplored government files. These efforts bolster democratic principles by advocating for responsible transparency concerning aerial anomalies. The Phoenix Lights, therefore, symbolize more than unexplained lights in the night sky. They represent an enduring case study on governance, secrecy, and civil society's demand for truth. This dynamic interweaves technological mystery with political transparency, emphasizing the vital role of informed citizenry and accountable institutions in navigating phenomena that challenge conventional understanding. In closing, the governance or misgovernance of information about the Phoenix Lights continues to illuminate the complexities of public trust in an era where secrets and surveillance intersect with democratic values and human curiosity. The Phoenix Lights event did more than light up the skies of the American Southwest in March 1997. It forever altered the lives of those who saw it firsthand. This part explores the deep and lasting psychological, emotional, and social impacts on eyewitnesses whose experience challenged their understanding of reality and thrust them into a cultural phenomenon of immense proportions. For some witnesses, the sighting was a moment of silent awe that bolstered their curiosity about the unknown, inspiring lifelong dedication to understanding and investigating unexplained aerial phenomena. But for many, the experience had more complex, sometimes troubling consequences, affecting personal relationships, professional lives, and mental health. Medical professionals, psychologists, and researchers have documented a range of psychological responses from witnesses. Common reactions include post-event stress, anxiety, and a persistent questioning of reality. The challenge of reconciling extraordinary experiences with conventional explanations left many feeling alienated from friends, family, and colleagues, who either dismissed or ridiculed their accounts. Several witnesses report feeling a profound sense of isolation following their experiences. The socio-cultural stigma surrounding UFO sightings, particularly among adults who feared being branded as delusional or eccentric, led some to suppress their memories or refrain from public discussion for years. This silence, combined with government denials and media skepticism, compounded feelings of uncertainty and distrust. On the other hand, a subset of eyewitnesses found empowerment in communities of like-minded individuals. UFO conferences, online forums, and support groups provided spaces for shared storytelling, validation, and collective healing. These communities fostered a profound sense of belonging, transforming what was often an isolating experience into one of connection and shared quest. Among families, the simultaneous witnessing of the Phoenix Lights created unique bonds and shared memories that transcended generational divides. Parents described how their children's unfiltered perceptions added fresh perspectives, while children found a source of wonder and curiosity that would shape their worldview. Many family members recount continuing to revisit the night's events regularly, discussing them with reverence and puzzlement. Military and law enforcement personnel who witnessed the lights faced additional pressures. Many encountered institutional constraints limiting or forbidding public commentary, leading to feelings of conflicted loyalty between personal truth and professional duty. A number of these individuals eventually broke their silence, offering valuable testimony that challenged official narratives. Furthermore, the phenomenon's lingering legacy extends into trauma and resilience. Some witnesses recount nightmares, intrusive memories, and persistent feelings of vulnerability tied to the unexplainable. At the same time, others speak of transformative experiences that catalyze spiritual awakenings or a renewed fascination with the cosmos and humanity's place within it. The Phoenix Lights event, through its mass and gravity of eyewitness accounts, became a defining moment for many, marking an intersection of the extraordinary and the everyday. Its emotional aftershocks ripple through communities decades later, as testimony now spans multiple generations. Cultural artifacts, the music inspired, literature penned, films produced often reflect the collective processing of this enigmatic event. Local festivals, commemorative gatherings, and continuing media exploration sustain its legacy as more than an aerial anomaly, but as a profound human story of wonder, fear, and hope. In sum, the personal stories tell of a human dimension that statistic reports cannot capture. They frame the Phoenix Lights not solely as a mystery of the skies, but as an enduring saga of human encounter with the unknown, woven into the very fabric of identity and cultural memory. Amid the myriad reports and desert skies of that unforgettable night, the Phoenix Lights unfolded as a collective human experience, immortalized through the voices of its witnesses. These first-hand accounts, delivered with resonance and authenticity, form the cornerstone of the incident's enduring intrigue, credibility, and cultural weight. One of the most influential figures is Dr. Lynn Kaite, a Phoenix-based medical professional whose trajectory shifted irrevocably after witnessing the lights firsthand. Prior to the 1997 event, Dr. Kaite had encountered peculiar aerial phenomena, beginning as early as 1995, capturing images and videos while building a growing catalog of unexplained sightings. That fateful March night, observed from her home in Phoenix, the majestic, silent light stirred something profound, a drive to understand and disseminate the event's significance. In the years since, Dr. Kaite has authored The Phoenix Lights, A Skeptic's Discovery That We Are Not Alone, and produced a documentary, thereby providing a scientific and deeply personal lens that grounds the phenomenon in a real-world narrative, expanding public awareness and legitimizing the experience against skepticism. Equally pivotal is Fife Symington III, the then governor of Arizona, whose involvement bridged political authority and personal revelation. Initially a skeptic, Symington played a pivotal role in managing the early public narrative, fielding a tsunami of inquiries and media attention. His infamous 1997 press conference intended as levity, featuring a staff member in an alien suit arrested, was a controversial attempt to diffuse public anxiety, yet it arguably intensified distrust and public suspicion of governmental transparency. More than a decade later, in a paradigm-shifting revelation, Symington admitted to having witnessed the mysterious craft himself, describing it as otherworldly, challenging his prior dismissive stance and reigniting public discourse. His testimony added unprecedented political weight to the witness narrative, signaling that credible observers from all walks were compelled to confront the unexplainable. Other notable witnesses encompass a broad spectrum of society, from commercial airline pilots who report having seen the precise formation from the skies, to law enforcement officers who publicly confirmed and documented sightings while on duty. These accounts provided a vital counterbalance to military flare explanations, bringing professional and experiential credibility to the mass phenomenon. The juxtaposition of such credible voices with the broader public swell, ranging from civilians to scientists, journalists to everyday families, gives the Phoenix Lights a layered human dimension, unparalleled in many UFO events. Each witness contributes a unique thread to the tapestry, interweaving objective observation with subjective experience, doubt with belief, and reality with mystery. The broader social effects of these testimonies are profound. Families share collective memories of that night, with parents and children recounting stories that have become heirlooms within community and lineage. In public forums and online platforms, witness testimonies drive discourse, legitimizing the discussion of UFOs as a subject worthy of earnest investigation rather than tabloid derision. Moreover, these voices have catalyzed a generational passage, inspiring younger observers and researchers to question, investigate, and engage with the unknown. Educational programs and public lectures sometimes feature first-hand witnesses, maintaining a vibrant dialogue around the incident's ongoing significance. In the global context, witness credibility has flourished with emerging transparency in governmental UFO policies and increased openness in military reports on unidentified aerial phenomena. The Phoenix Lights witnesses stand as seminal contributors to this evolving cultural and institutional paradigm shift. In conclusion, the enduring power of the Phoenix Lights lies not solely in the lights themselves, but in the voices that narrate them. Diverse, credible, and compelling, ensuring that the phenomenon endures as a human story resonant with awe, inquiry, and the relentless search for truth. On the night of March 13, 1997, as thousands of residents across Arizona and neighboring states gazed upward, a breathtaking spectacle unfolded. Anomalous lights pacing the sky in patterns that defied easy explanation. The enormity of public interest and repeated sightings sparked an array of scientific inquiries aiming to decode the conundrum presented by the Phoenix Lights, a task blending observational astronomy, atmospheric physics, and aerospace engineering. Prior to delving into the labyrinth of explanations, it's essential to recognize the scope and nature of the observations. The lights were seen over a vast region spanning roughly 300 miles, from the Nevada border down through Phoenix, and extending toward Tucson, reported between approximately 7:30 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. This expanse challenges conventional identification, necessitating thorough analysis across multiple disciplines. Astronomical scrutiny offers one vantage point. Many amateur and professional astronomers, including Mitch Stanley, utilize telescopes to observe the phenomenon. Stanley reported witnessing a formation of fixed, solid lights flying in formation at a high altitude remarkably different from stars or meteors, often conflated with unidentified aerial events. His observations indicated discrete points of light moving cohesively, adding weight to the interpretation of an organized physical craft group rather than atmospheric or celestial artifacts. Atmospheric scientists provide critical context by examining meteorological conditions that night. The clear desert skies, stable air mass, and low humidity reduce common visual distortions. Such conditions make phenomena like lenticular clouds, mirages, or temperature inversions less plausible explanations for the large, slow-moving, and silent craft or for the hovering, slow-falling lights seen later. Radar and aerospace engineering perspectives further complicate the picture. Federal Aviation Administration (FAA) and military radar data tracked traditional aircraft but reportedly registered no echoes corresponding to the large V-shaped craft described by many. Military experts identify the steady formation lights as compatible with A-10 Thunderbolt II aircraft formation flying under visual flight rules. The use of steady rather than blinking lights conforms to military navigation policies, exempting them from civilian requirements, accounting for some sightings but not all. Simultaneously, the slow-falling, hovering orange orbs later observed are explained scientifically as LU-2B/B illumination flares, dropped by a flight of A-10s during training exercises over the Barry M. Goldwater Air Force Range. These flares, descending on parachutes, appear suspended or gently drifting due to thermal uplift, providing a rational basis for later sightings. Yet significant incongruities remain. Witnesses' descriptions of the size and silence of the primary V-shaped object do not align with documented performance parameters of known military aircraft or flare behavior. The sheer size, described as multiple football fields, raises questions about the craft's engineering and propulsion systems. The absolute silence, absence of engine noise, and slow gliding flight dynamics similarly challenge understanding by known aerospace standards. Optical physics explains how light emissions interact with human perception during low-light, complex visual environments. The group dynamic of light spaced in specific formations can create compelling illusions of shape and volume, contributing to composite perceptions of a solid body. However, witness consistency in spatial configurations transcends typical optical tricks, suggesting that observers discerned a tangible physical object, not mere light anomalies. Research into electrogravitics and experimental propulsion technologies offers speculative explanations for silent flight and cloaking effects. Though largely theoretical and without public confirmation, such technologies hint at the possibility of classified craft operating under principles far removed from conventional aerodynamics. The integration of remote sensing, airborne sensors, and human observation on that night illustrates the interplay of instrument and intuition in extraterrestrial or aircraft identification. The Phoenix Lights thus represent a unique conjunction where scientific inquiry aligns with eyewitness data, yet gaps persist, buried by secrecy and unexplored anomaly. The enduring scientific challenge is to reconcile known phenomena with anomalous data, acknowledging the limits of current knowledge while pushing toward innovative aerodynamic, material, and observational breakthroughs. The event's significance is amplified, as it represents one of the largest clusters of mass UFO sightings ever observed with modern instrumentation, creating a compelling case study for aerospace researchers, atmospheric scientists, and ufologists alike. As a phenomenon bridging science, skepticism, and the unknown, the Phoenix Lights compel multidisciplinary investigation, fueling ongoing efforts to unravel a mystery situated at the confluence of human observation and advanced aerospace technology. The advent of internet communication and social media platforms has reshaped how societies encounter, investigate, and interpret unexplained phenomena. And the Phoenix Lights remain one of the most resonant mysteries to be re-examined in this digital era. The event's legacy has been revitalized through online communities, viral sharing, and crowdsourced investigation, transforming a localized historical incident into a global ongoing dialogue that transcends traditional boundaries. With platforms like YouTube, Reddit, Twitter, and dedicated UFO forums, eyewitness accounts, archival videos, and fresh testimonies circulate rapidly, inviting a worldwide audience to re-engage with the spectacle. The immediacy and reach of digital communication have empowered direct connection between observers, researchers, skeptics, and believers, fostering a dynamic environment where information and misinformation coexist. Crowdsourced investigations and analysis benefit from collective intelligence. As amateur astronomers, digital forensics experts, and science communicators dissect available images, videos, radar data, and historical records, employing advanced tools such as spectral analysis, geolocation mapping, and motion tracking to extract new insights. These collaborative efforts often uncover overlooked patterns or anomalies, contributing fresh perspectives that challenge or reinforce prior conclusions. The interactive nature of social media platforms also allows for emotional and psychological communal processing of the event. Witnesses, descendants, and enthusiasts share stories that add personal depth, building a vibrant virtual storytelling space which helps sustain the collective memory and emotional resonance of the Phoenix Lights. This communal narrative construction reinforces identity and the search for meaning within the mysterious. However, the age of digital communication also complicates the discourse. Viral misinformation, doctored videos, and fabricated testimony rise alongside authentic evidence, necessitating critical media literacy and methodological rigor. Debates between skeptics and believers often intensify, propelled by echo chambers and confirmation bias within online groups. The Phoenix Lights phenomenon thus demonstrates the dual-edged nature of digital media. While it democratizes information and breathes new life into historic events, it also challenges discernment and can obscure facts with sensationalism. Moreover, the advent of citizen science and direct-to-public communication reveals a shifting paradigm in UFO research, no longer confined to government disclosures or academic publications. The inquiry is now accessible to anyone with access to a smartphone and internet connection, disrupting traditional hierarchies of knowledge production. Annually, social media and virtual events mark the anniversary of the Phoenix Lights, drawing thousands of participants worldwide. These gatherings symbolize a solidarity of curiosity and skepticism, preserving the cultural importance while encouraging open, pluralistic exploration. Government releases and declassifications occurring in the digital age are rapidly disseminated, debated, and contextualized online. This immediacy contrasts sharply with the relative opacity surrounding the original 1997 events, highlighting changes in public engagement and institutional communication. In sum, the Phoenix Lights continue to captivate in an era defined by connectivity. Digital technology amplifies the event's mystery and relevance, ensuring a new generation inherits the question of what truly lit the skies of Phoenix decades ago, an unresolved enigma woven permanently into the fabric of digital and real-world culture. From the moment the Phoenix Lights blazed across the night sky in March 1997, speculation has been rife not only about the nature of the phenomenon itself, but also about the degree to which government agencies actively concealed or suppressed information. Theories of cover-up form a crucial pillar in the broader dialogue, reflecting widespread mistrust of official narratives and a deeply rooted cultural expectation of secrecy surrounding unidentified aerial phenomena. At the core of these theories lies skepticism toward military and government explanations that attribute the mass sighting to routine training exercises, specifically the release of illumination flares from A-110 Thunderbolt II aircraft. Many critics argue that the official narrative fails to account for reported discrepancies, including the silent, immense triangular craft described by numerous witnesses and the tight, deliberate maneuvering of lights inconsistent with errantly descending flares. One of the most pointed allegations relates to the lack of a formal, transparent investigation immediately following the event. Despite thousands of eyewitness reports and media coverage, no comprehensive public inquiry was assembled. This apparent absence fueled beliefs that institutions sought to quash discussion rather than engage with public concern, a pattern consistent with historical handling of UFO phenomena during the Cold War and beyond. Arizona's political climate at the time accentuated these suspicions. While Governor Fife Symington initially endorsed the official explanations, his later personal endorsement of the inexplicability of the lights suggested internal conflict between public reassurance and private skepticism. The governor's notorious alien mask press conference, intended to deflect interest, instead exacerbated distrust, perceived by many as mocking serious inquiries instead of addressing them earnestly. Shadows deepen with the experience of Phoenix City Councilwoman Frances Barwood, who bravely advocated for formal investigation amid growing public pressure. Her outspoken stance led to intense political backlash, culminating in her removal from office, which many interpreted as punitive action for breaking the circle of silence. Moreover, the restricted nature of the airspace over the Phoenix metropolitan area, dominated by military installations and testing ranges, aroused persistent questions about access and oversight. Details about military flights and radar operations on that night have remained classified or heavily redacted, exacerbating suspicions about intentional concealment. Whistleblowers and unofficial sources, speaking anonymously, have periodically claimed the existence of classified test flights or experimental aircraft, coinciding with the Phoenix Lights timeline. Though these testimonies lack official verification, their consistency and timing contribute to conspiracy narratives alleging a deliberate obfuscation. In addition to pointing fingers at the military, critics highlight the broader systemic secrecy in political and intelligence institutions, where balancing national security with public transparency often tips toward opacity. Congressional hearings on unidentified aerial phenomena years later only partially address these concerns, with many questions still unanswered or sidestepped. Media investigations have unveiled patterns of document foreshortening, delayed FOIA responses, and selective revelation that many interpret as stonewalling, the juxtaposition of minimal concrete disclosure against an explosion of public curiosity serves only to reinforce suspicions that something remains hidden beneath layers of governmental layers. Cultural and psychological analyses suggest that narratives of cover-up thrive due to the incongruence between the magnitude of the event and the insufficiency of official communication. When authorities respond to mysterious events with dismissiveness or humor rather than straightforward fact-sharing, it erodes trust and enables alternative storytelling grounded in suspicion. This dynamic transforms the Phoenix Lights from a simple mass sighting into a socio-political phenomenon, illustrating broader challenges in information governance. It brings into sharp focus societal tensions between the public's right to know and institutional imperatives for secrecy. Tensions playing out globally in multifarious contexts beyond the UFO debate. Ultimately, theories of cover-up surrounding the Phoenix Lights highlight a fundamental paradox. The human thirst for knowledge and the instinct to protect perceived strategic advantages often collide, creating fertile ground for intrigue, conspiracy, and enduring mystery. The very essence that sustains the Phoenix Lights' legendary status in modern culture. The widespread fascination with the Phoenix Lights has been bolstered not only by scientific inquiry and governmental controversy, but also by rich interpretations rooted in paranormal, spiritual, and metaphysical perspectives. These paranormal explanations offer alternative frameworks that transcend materialist science, weaving the event into a broader tapestry of human experience with the unknown, Phenomena such as the Phoenix Lights often evoke associations with supernatural presence, spiritual awakening, or otherworldly communication. Some interpret the V-shaped craft and the ethereal hovering lights, not as alien technology or secret military projects, but as manifestations of consciousness or interdimensional beings engaging with humanity in subtle, enigmatic ways. Among the notable paranormal notions is the idea that the lights were a form of sacred visitation, a celestial signal or awakening designed to shift collective human awareness. This perspective is often underscored by accounts of profound emotional or spiritual reactions from witnesses who describe feelings of connection, awe, and transformation, suggesting a metaphysical dimension to the event. The folklore and indigenous understanding of the region further enrich these interpretations. Native American traditions contain myriad stories about the sky and stars, trickster spirits, and other non-material entities interacting with the physical world. Some researchers argue that the Phoenix Lights incident resonates with these narratives, positioning the lights as modern incarnations of ancient cosmic phenomena. Psychic investigators and parapsychologists have engaged with the Phoenix Lights as a locus of psychic energy and unexplained natural forces, framing the incident as a convergence point where physical and subtle planes intersect. This interpretation suggests that the phenomenon exists not solely in physical reality, but also in psychic and spiritual domains accessible under specific conditions. The event has inspired numerous New Age and esoteric movements, integrating the lights into teachings about extraterrestrial elders, ascended masters, and energy portals. These frameworks emphasize healing, unity, and expanded consciousness, using the Phoenix Lights as a symbol of hope and revelation rather than fear or secrecy. Critics within the scientific community dismiss paranormal interpretations as untestable and lacking empirical foundation. However, the persistence and resilience of these perspectives underscore the human need to find meaning beyond the measurable, especially in experiences that challenge conventional paradigms. Various documentaries, festivals, and art installations celebrating the Phoenix Lights reflect and amplify these themes. Annual gatherings include rituals, musical performances, and meditations intended to foster communal spiritual experiences, inspired by the remembered event. This metaphysical dimension intersects with cultural and psychological analyses, illustrating how the Phoenix Lights phenomenon transcends a singular explanation and becomes a multifaceted mirror, reflecting diverse facets of human belief, identity, and the quest for transcendence. In this lens, the Phoenix Lights move beyond mere anomaly to become a perennial enigmatic symbol, a spotlight on humanity's perennial connection to mystery, spirit, and the vast unknown that lies beyond earthly comprehension. The Phoenix Lights incident has evolved far beyond a simple, unexplained aerial phenomenon. Over the decades since March 13, 1997, it has transformed into a dynamic, cultural touchstone, deeply embedded in Arizona's identity and resonating nationally and internationally. This part explores how this mysterious event shaped and continues to influence cultural traditions, popular media, social dynamics, and community identity in Arizona and beyond. Arizona, with its vast desert landscapes and history of strange sightings, has long stood as a fertile ground for UFO lore. However, the Phoenix Lights incident was singular in its scale, witness number, and proximity to a major metropolitan area. The massive visual event demanded public attention, sparking an unprecedented collective experience that melded curiosity, fear, skepticism, and wonder. From the immediate aftermath, the event earned a mythic status within local culture. It inspired local media retrospectives, the publication of books, screen documentaries, and countless articles investigating and commemorating the mystery. The Phoenix Lights quickly became synonymous with the state's cultural landscape, rivaling even historic events like the Roswell incident in popular consciousness. Annual commemorations began to appear, blending grassroots skywatching gatherings with organized festivals. These events attracted diverse audiences: UFO enthusiasts, curious locals, tourists, and artists. The Phoenix Lights Festival, an electronic dance music event launched years later, appropriated the name and theme to celebrate music, art, and the mysterious. The festival has grown in scope and popularity, merging entertainment with cultural remembrance and speculation. Alien-themed art installations, immersive multimedia experiences, and space-inspired performances weave together narrative and celebration, transforming the incident into a vibrant cultural carnival. The impact extends into the economy, as tourism related to UFO lore contributes to local business and growing niche markets. Tours of the Barry M. Goldwater Range area, guided walks, and museum exhibitions link the natural landscape to historical and mysterious phenomena, drawing visitors keen to experience the locale where the lights were seen. Media representations have played a crucial role in amplifying the cultural footprint of the Phoenix Lights. Documentaries such as Lynn Kaitei's The Phoenix Lights, We Are Not Alone, and feature films like Phoenix Forgotten dramatize the event for wider audiences, often blending factual investigation with narrative storytelling that emphasizes mystery and suspense. These productions have sparked international interest, making the Phoenix Lights a global symbol of unexplained phenomena. Social media has also renewed fascination, enhancing real-time engagement during anniversary commemorations and facilitating the dissemination of previously obscure materials, eyewitness interviews, and speculative theories. Online forums help sustain active debates, community connections, and collective memory among diverse demographic groups. More broadly, the Phoenix Lights phenomenon embeds itself in cultural discourse about our relationship with the unknown, governmental transparency, and the search for extraterrestrial life, common themes in contemporary collective consciousness. It symbolizes a yearning for answers to cosmic questions, reflecting broader societal challenges about technology, security, and identity. Educational and scholarly interest underscores the event's significance as a case study in collective behavior, visual perception, and information dissemination. The Phoenix Lights illustrate how extraordinary events catalyze myths, rituals, and social cohesion, enriching cultural narratives and collective identity. The lasting legacy of the Phoenix Lights is a testament to humanity's fascination with mystery and the blurred boundaries between history, legend, and living culture. It stands as a beacon not only of unexplainable events, but also of the powerful social and imaginative processes that transform a night of unexplained lights into an enduring cultural phenomenon. The Phoenix Lights incident, an enigmatic phenomenon observed by thousands, continues to echo far beyond its initial spectacle, leaving a profound imprint on both technological innovation and cultural progression. This part explores the ripple effects of the mysterious lights on aerospace research, military development, technological inspiration, and the creative industries that have woven the event into the fabric of contemporary innovation and identity. The visual and experiential impact of the Phoenix Lights inspired renewed interest in advanced aerial technologies, particularly regarding stealth systems, surveillance, and experimental propulsion methods. While official explanations cite existing military aircraft formations and flare exercises, many in the aerospace community perceive the event as a catalyst that challenged researchers to explore novel aircraft designs capable of low noise, high maneuverability, and reduced radar signature. In the years following, experimental programs exploring unmanned aerial vehicles, UAVs, hypersonic flight, and electromagnetic propulsion have gained traction. Some aerospace engineers and defense analysts speculate that the unexplained characteristics of the Phoenix Lights may represent the public's glimpse of early iterations of classified technology designed to advance aerial surveillance and combat capabilities. Beyond military innovation, the phenomenon also stimulated civilian technological curiosity, fueling academic research into atmospheric optics, human perception under low-light aerial conditions, and the development of imaging technologies designed to capture elusive flight dynamics. These efforts have led to advancements in sensor design, remote aerial reconnaissance, and video analysis techniques used across meteorological, environmental, and security applications. The cultural reverberations of the Phoenix Lights have fueled creative industries as well. The event has inspired a plethora of artistic expressions: films, music, interactive media, and visual arts that reflect humanity's deep engagement with the unknown. Notably, the Phoenix Lights Festival, an electronic music event bearing the name and thematic connection to the incident, has become a premier cultural gathering that blends immersive technologies, innovative visual effects, and music to create transformational experiences. This festival exemplifies how a mysterious event can evolve into a symbol of creative energy and technological interactivity, drawing artists, technologists, and audiences into an unfolding narrative that transcends the original sighting. The event's motifs, lights in the night sky, unfamiliar technology, and human wonder, are refracted into new forms through digital media, holography, and experiential design. Academic conferences and public lectures increasingly address the incident to explore the intersection of technology, culture, and human cognition, highlighting how scientific inquiry and imaginative exploration coexist. The Phoenix Lights serve as a lens through which evolving technological capabilities meet human fascination, underscoring the importance of cross-disciplinary dialogue. Moreover, the event has spurred interest in citizen science methodologies, where volunteers equipped with personal cameras and sensor technology contribute to data collection and phenomenology analysis. This democratization of technological engagement reflects broader societal trends towards participatory research and empowers communities to monitor and report on aerial phenomena autonomously. In summary, the Phoenix Lights catalyzed a dynamic synthesis of technological advancement and cultural innovation. It not only challenged existing aerospace paradigms, but fostered fertile ground for creative expression and scientific participation. The glow of those mysterious lights continues to illuminate pathways toward understanding the convergence of human curiosity, technological possibility, and cultural imagination, making the incident a beacon of inspiration in an ever-evolving landscape. Decades after the mysterious illumination of the southwestern skies, the Phoenix Lights phenomenon remains fertile ground for fresh scientific inquiry, investigative scrutiny, and newly surfaced witness testimonies. Ongoing investigations adapt advanced technology and methodologies, injecting renewed vigor into attempts to pierce the shroud of mystery enveloping one of America's most documented yet enigmatic aerial events. Modern analytical techniques capitalize on digital enhancements of archival video and photographic evidence amassed in 1997. High-resolution frame-by-frame examination, coupled with image stabilization and spectral analysis, reveals subtle details previously lost in the grain and noise of 1990s consumer recording devices. These digital reinterpretations have been crucial to discerning the spatial arrangement, luminosity behaviors, and movement patterns that differentiate between stationary illumination flares and coherent structured craft. Recent developments include the application of infrared and radar data reanalysis from military and civilian monitoring stations operating within Arizona's airspace. These data, once classified or overlooked, have been declassified, digitized, and cross-referenced with timestamps and eyewitness locations, permitting a more nuanced spatial and temporal mapping of unidentified aerial phenomena on the night of March 3rd. An emerging body of whistleblower testimony, from former military personnel stationed at Luke Air Force Base and related installations, has also surfaced in recent years. These insiders recount unprecedented military communication restrictions, unexplainable radar signatures, and multiple unidentified craft exhibiting flight capacities vastly exceeding contemporary aviation technology. Such accounts have been measured against flight protocol documents to highlight discrepancies between public explanations and observed phenomena. Concurrently, new eyewitnesses have come forward, including younger generations who, as children, witnessed the events with parents or community groups. These testimonies bring fresh interpretative insights drawn from decades of reflection and evolving cultural narratives. Researchers emphasize that the multi-generational nature of the eyewitness corpus lends unique robustness to the event's enduring significance. Innovative crowd science initiatives leverage smartphone sensor networks and geolocated sightings to build real-time monitoring infrastructures for anomalous aerial activity. Participants contribute visual, audio, and sensor data, enabling rapid aggregation and analysis. Phoenix Light's research groups utilize these modern citizen science platforms to contextualize historical data against ongoing unidentified aerial phenomena trends, seeking correlations that could illuminate the 1997 event within larger temporal patterns. Advancements in radar cross-section modeling and aerospace engineering simulations probe the technical feasibility of hypothetical craft behaviors and characteristics described by witnesses. This multidisciplinary approach challenges conventional paradigms by exploring potential propulsion mechanisms, stealth technologies, and flight dynamics consistent with the more extraordinary aspects of the sightings. Academic and governmental dialogues around unidentified phenomena have increasingly incorporated the Phoenix Lights as a central investigative case study. Congressional hearings and Defense Department reports on unidentified aerial phenomena, UAP, reference the event's scale and public visibility, positioning it as a foundational episode warranting ongoing attention within national security and aviation research contexts. The synthesis of historical data, new eyewitness accounts, and cutting-edge technological analysis paints a complex mosaic. While many official discrepancies remain unresolved, the Phoenix Lights continue to inspire scientific curiosity, public debate, and dedicated investigative efforts, intertwining the realms of personal experience and empirical inquiry. In summary, the Phoenix Lights stand as a dynamic, evolving phenomenon, the constant infusion of fresh evidence and reinterpretation fuels hope that one day the event's full truth, be it terrestrial, extraterrestrial, or beyond, will emerge from the darkness of legend into the clarity of understanding. The Phoenix Lights transcended a simple aerial anomaly to become a flashpoint of political, social, and community engagement in Arizona. This part elucidates how the incident substantially influenced local governance, political figures, law enforcement protocols, community identity, and civic discourse, transforming the event into a pivotal moment of collective reckonings. In the immediate aftermath, local and state officials were thrust into the epicenter of an unprecedented public spectacle. The sheer volume of eyewitness reports and media attention demanded rapid response mechanisms, challenging governmental capacity to address anxiety, curiosity, and skepticism simultaneously. The tension between transparency and control defined early interactions, shaping citizens' trust in their political representatives. Governor Fife Symington, at the helm during the event, navigated a complex space between managing public perception and addressing burgeoning speculation regarding the incident's nature, initially echoing the military's explanation of the lights as flares. Symington's approach reflected a strategic effort to balance reassurance with pressure from constituents demanding clarity and accountability. His subsequent public admission that he personally witnessed otherworldly lights, correlated with a growing cultural realism about the limits of official narratives. Beyond the governor's office, city councils and county officials confronted community demands for investigations and public hearings. Questions over restricted military airspace, law enforcement access, and information sharing became critical concerns. In some instances, local leaders expressed frustration at federal agencies' reluctance to provide comprehensive data, igniting calls for enhanced transparency and civilian oversight. The Phoenix Police Department and local law enforcement officers found themselves grappling with emerging public safety considerations and the practicalities of responding to a mass phenomenon. Officers on duty not only witnessed the lights firsthand, but also fielded numerous calls from concerned residents, testing crisis communication protocols and coordination with federal entities. Some officers later shared their frustration over unclear directives and the dissonance between official explanations and personal observations, underscoring the operational challenges posed by such unclassified phenomena. This incident also triggered ripple effects in public spaces and civic life. Community forums emerged, enabling residents to exchange experiences, voice concerns, and debate theories. Local media outlets dedicated significant attention to the event throughout the years, constructing a sustained narrative that nurtured a sense of shared experience and collective mystery. Politically, the Phoenix Lights occasioned shifts in how local and state governments approached similar unexplained aerial phenomena in future encounters. Policy discussions began incorporating considerations for better interagency information flow and public engagement. Legislative proposals around airspace transparency, public right to know, and intergovernmental cooperation found advocates among some elected officials seeking to rebuild public confidence. The broader civic impact includes the establishment of dedicated research groups and nonprofit organizations focused on UFO research and advocacy. These groups have fostered educational programs, community outreach, and public advocacy for scientific inquiry, positioning Arizona as a hub for multidisciplinary approaches to aerial phenomena. Culturally, the Phoenix Lights galvanized a regional identity steeped in the mysterious and emblematic story, weaving together scientific curiosity, governmental secrecy, and public imagination. The incident has become a touchstone in Arizona's narrative, featuring prominently in tourism, art, festivals, and educational curricula that blend local history with cosmic wonder. In sum, the Phoenix Lights transformed civic governance, community engagement, and cultural life in Arizona. These responses underscore a society attempting to reconcile extraordinary experience with routine governance, highlighting enduring questions about authority, transparency, and public participation in mysteries spanning beyond terrestrial realms. The extraordinary tale of the Phoenix Lights has captured the imagination not only of eyewitnesses and researchers, but also of filmmakers, authors, and cultural producers who have translated the enigma into a variety of media productions. This part delves into how documentaries, feature films, books, and other literary works have shaped public understanding and perpetuated the mystery of the Phoenix Lights through captivating storytelling. Documentaries spearheaded by eyewitnesses have played a vital role in presenting first-person narratives and investigatory research. Dr. Lynn Kaite's acclaimed documentary The Phoenix Lights, We Are Not Alone, stands as a cornerstone of this genre. Combining medical expertise with compelling interviews and rare footage, the film presents the incident as a phenomenon deserving serious scientific and emotional consideration, pushing back against dismissive skepticism. Several other documentaries have sought to unravel the timeline and complexities of March 13, 1997, including works like Phoenix Forgotten and web-based exposés that gather archival material, expert testimony, and public commentary. These productions often balance investigative journalism with elements of suspense and emotional resonance, enhancing viewer engagement and empathy. feature films inspired by the event, notably Phoenix Forgotten, dramatize the narrative through fictionalized accounts that ground the spectacle in personal journeys of discovery, fear, and resolution. Such films extend the phenomenon's cultural penetration by reaching audiences who may not encounter documentaries or academic writings, transforming the lights into narrative vehicles exploring human reactions to the unknown. Literature, both nonfiction and fiction, thrives in the Phoenix Lights context. Investigative books compile witness testimonies, governmental documents, and scientific analysis to construct comprehensive guides to the event. Writers explore themes of secrecy, humanity's quest for cosmic companionship, and the interplay between belief and evidence, offering readers immersive portals into the phenomenon's many dimensions. On the fiction front, authors employ the Phoenix Lights motif to explore speculative and speculative fiction themes, blending science fiction, thriller, and paranormal genres. These works probe the cultural and existential questions raised by the event, feeding the broader mythology and inspiring new generations of readers and creators. Beyond traditional media, digital content producers use platforms such as YouTube, podcasts, and social media channels to analyze and re-examine the event continually. These platforms enable real-time commentary, interaction, and crowdsourced investigations, democratizing the storytelling process and maintaining the Phoenix Lights as a living, evolving narrative in global discourse. Art installations and immersive experiences also emerge from the event's influence. Galleries and live experiences integrate multimedia elements, light shows, holography, soundscapes, immersing participants in recreations of the phenomenon. This interpretive art fosters collaborative meaning-making and emotional connection to the mystery beyond mere observation. These media productions collectively contribute to the cultural legacy of the Phoenix Lights, illustrating how an unexplained event becomes a source of artistic inspiration and collective memory. They bridge gaps between empirical inquiry and emotive experience, framing the phenomenon as a profound cultural catalyst. In conclusion, the Phoenix Lights, as interpreted through documentaries, film, literature, and digital media, reflect humanity's enduring fascination with the unknown, showcasing the dynamic ways storytelling shapes perception, belief, and legacy. As the final chapter in this extensive exploration, the Phoenix Lights stand as a symbol of human curiosity, confronting the unknown, a luminous thread weaving through decades of mystery, speculation, and cultural resonance. What began as an enigmatic display by unidentified lights across the Arizona sky evolved into a multifaceted phenomenon layered with government secrecy, scientific inquiry, eyewitness testimony, cultural reinterpretation, and persistent question marks that refuse to be answered conclusively. What they don't want you to know. The deeper truths obscured beneath official explanations and dismissive accounts revolve around the inconsistencies and gaps that remain despite years of scrutiny. The monumental size and silent flight of the V-shaped formation, the exact dynamics of the multiple light phenomena, and the tactical opacity surrounding military activities amplify an aura of concealment and incomplete narratives. Critical eyewitness accounts, including those from credible pilots, police officers, and Governor Fife Symington himself, challenge sanitized versions and invite broader public skepticism toward official statements. The suppression or redaction of military data, delayed disclosures, and staged press events stain the credibility of governmental agencies, suggesting information is withheld to protect strategic interests or avoid public unrest. Scientific explanations, while illuminating many aspects such as flare deployment and atmospheric effects, cannot wholly account for the breadth and detail contained in the mass observation reports. This discrepancy fuels continued debate and the survival of alternative theories, ranging from advanced secret military technology to genuine extraterrestrial visitation, cultural, spiritual, and paranormal interpretations, enlarge the event's scope, transforming it from transient observation to a living myth, a source of collective wonder, artistic inspiration, and existential reflection on humanity's place in the cosmos. The Phoenix Lights remain embedded in a broader narrative of uncertainty where fact and legend interlace, demanding open-mindedness tempered by critical inquiry. This dual nature ensures the phenomenon continues to inspire research, storytelling, and debate, each generation adding new chapters to its mystery. Ultimately, the persistence of the Phoenix Lights as a subject of fascination and inquiry demonstrates not just the allure of the unexplained, but the human need to confront enigmas in search of meaning. They remind us that some truths lurk in the shadows of discovery, waiting patiently for the light of understanding to dawn. As this journey concludes, the Phoenix Lights compel us to keep looking upward and questioning not only what lights dance in our skies, but also what remains hidden from view, both beyond and within.